Just because I poke fun of the stories and or fan art in my videos does not mean that the creators of these things deserve harassment. Cyberbullying is a lot more serious than you think, especially since it sometimes leads to self-harm and or suicide. Please pick your battles wisely. That means do not harass any of the creators of anything featured in my narrations. Thank you. Hey guys, what is up? This is Scott bringing you episode 16 of the Crappypasta show. Today I will be reading 3 stories. Scootaloo, Who is on the Menu, and Scissor Man. Hopefully at least one of these stories will give you some laughs. Now, without further ado, enjoy the show guys. I was walking on the street at night when I spotted a shadow. The shadow was in the shape of Scootaloo. The shadow then disappeared, just until it appeared again. Ever since that strange night, the shadow has been haunting me. Every single night I dream about a strange shadow following me. Then I woke up just to see the shadow again. Well, I have had enough. I got to find out about this until going back to bed. I found some strange blood splatters on my bed and the words next written on the walls in blood. I also saw my pet dog lying on the floor dead, with no organs, and his fur and eyes were ripped out. What? I thought, this couldn't have been happening, I thought, until out of nowhere a negative-colored Scootaloo popped out of nowhere, grabbed my organs out of my body, and... well, it's too complicated, but every 60 years she comes back, and haunts the next person living in this old house. Footage from 10 minutes ago. I call him Jeff because I really liked this creepypasta called Jeff the Killer, I said. And why is a girl your age reading a horror like that? Don't interrupt me, I said. But to answer your question, I love the creepypasta stories by Mr. Creepypasta. His stories are the best. Okay, but you say you can see this demon? He asked. Yes, I said. He's my best friend. I looked over in the dark corner of my house. Hey, Jeff, I said. The news reporter and camera people looked around, but couldn't see him. He was right there. How come they didn't see him? Where is he? Cynthia, I said, crossing my arms. Cynthia, where is he? He asked. Over there in that corner. He's smiling at you right now, I said. I noticed the reporter's sweat, and his hand holding the microphone trembling. Could we talk to your parents, he said. Well, they're not here, I said while smiling. Then where are they, he said. I looked at Jeff and smiled. Where are you? Before he finished, all the doors in the house opened and closed frantically. They died because of Jeff, I said. The reporter and cameraman looked at each other and chuckled. Well then, he said, chuckling, what does Jeff look like? He's tall, but not as tall as Jeff the Killer. He has gray skin, dark brown hair, and blue eyes, I said. He also has sharp nails, sharp enough to kill someone. Okay, but really, where are your parents? He asked. I looked at the camera and laughed like a madman. Foolish people, I laughed. You'll never make it out of this house alive. I took out my pocket knife and made a signal for Jeff to come over. That's enough. Before I finished, Jeff cut off his hand, and the man screamed in pain. It was music to my ears. Son of a, he shouted. I grabbed his face and opened his mouth. I cut out his tongue and threw it to Jeff, who instantly ate it up. You should never swear in front of children, I said. I looked at the cameraman and stabbed him in the stomach. I hope you're hungry, Jeff, I said. He instantly appeared, and I turned off the camera. I'll have to burn it to a DVD and delete the footage afterward. That's my girl, he growled in a deep voice. Learn from the best, I said. Now help me put these in the freezer, or you won't get any dinner. Turns off TV. Wasn't that fun, Jeff? I asked. Yes, it was, he said. Oh, looks like someone joined us for dinner, I said. Jeff looks ahead and smiles. That's right. We're talking to you. I said, would you like to stay for dinner? Jeff laughed. Well, for dinner, you're on the menu. I always assumed it was me. Those scratches, those bumps, the ones you wake up with in the morning, and maybe now it is. But it didn't used to be. It used to be him. I've never seen him, but I know he is short and fat with orange hair. I call him the Scissor Man. He lives everywhere and nowhere. You will never guess him to be the gnome in your backyard or that little toy you had ever since you were little. He hides in those things, morphing shape until you are fast asleep, watching while you sleep, keeping track on your every movement. He is the one who gives you those mysterious cuts and scratches while you sleep, always getting deeper and deeper until you do the work for him, until you take your own pair of scissors and cut open your flesh. See, he lives for that blood, and without it he would die. So inside your room he goes, pulls out his little pair of scissors, and gets to work. Okay, those were our crappypastas for today. Okay, let's see. I think I had the most fun doing Who is on the Menu, because it seems like one of those campy horror comedies, and there aren't many technical errors, just maybe, let's see. Well, you don't really need to put, I don't think you need to put a comma before the I said, between the quotation and the words I said, or so-and-so said, or whatever. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Let's see. Then when they say, I hope you're hungry, Jeff, I said, I think there's also like a comma after that first quote on that line. But it's mostly solidly written. I think the main thing I would do to make it more coherent, let's see. Maybe put a little more variety on, they said, he asked, blah blah blah. You know, it's like, I think it's mostly just, I said, or he asked, or, there's an I laughed, he shouted, there's maybe at least one he growled. I think there's also the slight tense swap going on. Well, there's really not much else, but I think the biggest flaw is, I believe, first of all, I think the connection to Jeff the Killer and calling this demon Jeff without any sort of self-awareness. It's probably one thing that kind of ruins the story, and I think once you correct all that stuff, maybe put it to a different site, because it seems a lot better for a campy horror comedy than an actual horror story. But it is a cute story, though. Let's see what's next. Then we have Scootaloo, My First Pasta. With this one, I kind of think that Scootaloo was just thrown in haphazardly, and there's a bit of a lack of cohesion with the story, other than the spelling and grammatical errors, like either sense and whatnot. For example, the words on the wall were a stutter. I mean, does it really make sense for next written on the walls in blood make any sense whatsoever? And then all of a sudden the dog is dead. And then a negative colored Scootaloo, and then there's a haunted house. Yeah, well, first of all, correct your fucking spelling and grammatical errors. Find a way to give this story some sort of cohesion. Don't make the written words stutter. And also, maybe replace Scootaloo, because considering that Scootaloo from My Little Pony is barely in the story, I don't think this really counts that well as a pony pasta. Like I said, I think she was just thrown in haphazardly because they love MLP. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Okay, enough about that story. And now Scissor Man. What can I say about Scissor Man? First of all, let's see. Let me give you a little quote here. Those scratches, those bumps, the ones you wake up with in the morning. I don't think it's normal for people to really wake up with scratches and cuts. You know, the so-called mysterious cuts and scratches while you sleep. I don't think getting random ass cuts and scratches is normal when you sleep. I mean, if that were the case, wouldn't a lot more people be injured? Let's see. Then there's this weird description of this short fat guy with orange hair. That seems a bit random. And then after you get this description, it says he's a shapeshifter, or quote unquote, he hides in those things. I get the idea of the victim eventually harming themselves after being harmed that much, to an extent. But it seems to just think when Rainbot Horror reviewed The Town of Blanche, I think she said it introduced an idea and just stops. I think this little story pretty much suffers from the exact same problem. It just introduces an idea and then just stops. There's barely any story, there's barely any cohesion. Well, more cohesion than Scootaloo, but still there is a big lack of cohesion in this story. But overall, I think I just gotta give props to who is on the menu, because it is such an adorable little story. It's not good as a creepypasta, but it is fucking adorable. Okay, enough of that bullshit. Next time on the Crappypasta show, I will be reading the infamous little fanfiction, Charlie the Killer, the self-insert pairing Sue, as Leaved and Gone has called it. As for my next upload, get ready for an all-new episode of Not Sure of Troll. This is Gothcat signing out. Thank you and goodbye.